Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to my channel for another installment in our journey as a competitive Pokemon Draft League player. We are participating in the SPL Premier League Season number 3, which is a doubles competitive focus season featuring singles competitive players and doubles competitive players. I'm coming in on the double side of things. My name is Nekkra and one of the commentators for the competitive Pokemon video game. You might see me on some of the streams, but right now we are moonlighting as a competitive Draft League player. And honestly, it's not going so great. We have participated in just one draft league before this, and so coming into the season, I thought, well, we've got some experience under our belt. How hard could this really be? It's hard. I'm struggling out here. And I think one of the things that stood out to me the most from having this current draft league experience versus playing competitive doubles is that you just never know what to expect. And there are so many different possibilities. It is truly hard to prep for everything. Unlike VGC, when you go into a draft league match, you know that your opponent is going to have somewhere between 9 to 10 Pokemon they can craft a team from. And through that, you still have so many different items, so many different moves. You do know the Terra types, but in the match itself, you know nothing else. You only know the Terra types of the 6 Pokemon that are actually brought to the match, and then you have to figure out everything else on the fly. Very different than what we have in our VGC metagame as of late, where you get the open team sheets that show you the Terra, the ability, the held item, the move sets, and so you can plan a little bit better around those things. I actually started playing competitive Pokemon when everything was still closed team sheet, but I've gotten a little comfortable having all of that information at my disposal. And so for this draft league, I definitely feel like I've got caught off guard by a couple of strategies. Like we saw Chestaberry Rest Earthworm and also minimize Substitute Chandelure. And while you can do those things, I don't know if you should do those things, but it worked out for my opponents, and I feel like we can take a page out of their book, maybe cook a little bit more when it comes to some of our team building, which we have been able to do over the past couple of weeks. But now that we're nearing the end of the season, I think this is where we can start to really pull out some of those stops and hopefully, you know, string a couple wins together. Surely we can at least try to get some game wins under our belt, or maybe, oh my goodness, maybe we actually get another win for a week. As I said though, draft leagues are hard, and so I'm not going throughout this season alone. I do have 2 of the biggest brains that I could find helping me out in my front office, and that's Ethan Matos and Stefan Mott, who are both incredibly good VGC players, but they also come in with a ton of draft league experience. So they've really been helping me hit the books, putting our teams together. They helped me out from day number 0 when we were taking a look at just starting out our draft, and we're gonna finish out the season strong together, and I'm so grateful to have them as a part of this journey. Now onto this week of the SPL Premier League, we're going to be facing off against Mountaih and the Immunity Idols. Mountaih is one of the players that I've been really looking forward to playing against, because you take a look at this team and it's a hard rain team. I think that this is an archetype that I can really play around, but of course it comes with its own draft league surprises, so anything can still happen, but I think it's still a little bit more in my wheelhouse when it comes to things that I should be prepared for, because I have that competitive Pokemon experience in doubles. But with all that being said, this team is still super scary. The Immunity Idols consist of our Chaladon, Mousehold, Thundurus Incarnate, Overquill, Basculegion, Pelipper, Berserker, Weirdeer, Rhyperior, and Virizion. This team operates around a very strong rain core of our Chaladon, Thundurus, Overquill, Basculegion, and Pelipper, and gets rounded out by things that make all of those different pieces stronger. Mousehold has been a super important Pokemon when it comes down to rain teams, because you have Friend Guard, you also have Follow Me to be able to redirect away attacks from your very strong attackers on this team, like Basculegion and our Chaladon. Mousehold also gets access to Super Fang, so it's really easy to be able to whittle down your opponent's HP and take it into a range that's going to be much easier for one of your attackers to actually knock it out. There's Berserker that has the ability Steely Spirit, so it's going to be boosting up the power of its own as well as our Chaladon's Steel type attacks by 50%. And it does make our Chaladon a bit more of a threat, given that it does have dual typing, Steel and Dragon, so our Chaladon's definitely going to be getting some good use out of an ability like that. You have Weirdeer, which is an option to be able to set things like Trick Room if you don't think that you can get the speed control in any other way, like being able to set Tail Tailwind from the Thunderous, or even just being able to set Tailwind from Pelipper, then you do have the Weirdier as a slower option. Archaludon can actually operate in some of those slower modes. You have Rhyperior that has the ability Lightning Rod, so any electric type attacks that are going towards Mountaih's team will be redirected away by that Rhyperior, while also providing some really great rock type offensive coverage. And then you have Virizion, which not really sure what else it's going to provide here outside of just being able to actually round out this water type core with a grass type. Alright, I guess it's fighting also. But the real power of Mountaih's roster does come through from that rain core. I have to be really scared this week of Archaludon, Overqwil, and Basculegion when they're in the rain. All three of these Pokemon have seen competitive play at some point in Scarlet and Violet, and a lot of that is because of just how powerful they get when the rain is active. Archaludon gets a signature move, Electro Shot, that would normally take an extra turn to actually charge up while giving Archaludon a special attack boost, but Archaludon could hold something like a Power Herb so it doesn't actually need to have that wind-up time, or you can just set the rain and then Archaludon's Electro Shot is ready to go in the exact same turn that it charges up. Overqwil has Swift Swim, which would boost up Overqwil's speed in the rain. It also gets the ability Intimidate, so even if you're not going to try to have that natural rain synergy, it's another way that Overqwil could be used while still having that rain give a boost to a lot of its physical attacks. Overqwil is nasty. Like, I've seen this Pokemon do some wild things. I think one of the players that stands out to me the most is when Henry Rich actually used this Pokemon at the North America International Championships. And while Overqwil wasn't actually able to get one-shots with a lot of its moves, you still look at some of the physical attacks that it gets and you see Waterfall, Liquidation. Those are really powerful water type attacks that could be further boosted by the rain. You also have Reversal, you have Gyro Ball, you have Lash Out, Scale Shot if Overqwil really wants it, and then I have to worry about it being speedy, even just outside of the rain. Poison Jab, though, is one of the moves that I think really stood out to me the most. Just a move that is strong in comparison to some of the other things that Overqwil gets access to while still getting a same type attack bonus. Because while Overqwil does have Swift Swim, it's actually a dark and poison type Pokemon, but that combination of types is quite difficult for our team to actually deal with. So if the Overqwil's in the rain, whether it's getting speed or not, I think this is a Pokemon that we really need to watch out for. And then there's Basculegion. Mountaih has male Basculegion, and the two forms are different, and that is something to pay attention to. Male Basculegion has way better physical attack, and it also just gets access to some stupidly strong physical attacks. We often see the male Basculegion more than the female Basculegion because the special attacks that Basculegion gets access to are just not quite as good. Not quite as strong either when it just comes down to the base power of what those moves are. A lot of the more common sets we've seen on Basculegion, though, include Wave Crash as well as Last Respects. Last Respects is a ghost-type physical attack that gets amplified every single time a Pokemon gets knocked out prior to Last Respects getting used on the field. And then you have Wave Crash, which is just so stupidly strong in the rain. We've seen Wave Crash be able to take out Pokemon that you would never expect Basculegion to knock out by itself, but when it comes with a whopping 112 attack, you know that these Wave Crashers are going to be hitting like trucks, especially if the rain is active. Put a Choice Scarf on the Basculegion, it's going to be very fast as well, and so you won't actually need to set any type of speed control for this thing to really go far. So yeah, definitely a Pokemon that I'm pretty nervous about. And let's not forget the other three Pokemon that I feel like are really going to have some strong impact in this match. We have to look at Maushold, Thundurus, and Pelipper as just three other supporting stars of the show. Maushold we've already talked about a little bit, but I think that when you give it credit for Friend Guard and just some of the other things that it has, like a Population Bomb, you could do a side Population Bomb onto a Stamina Archaludon, just boost up its defenses, and then Archaludon is one-shotting everything with Body Press. So that's not very good. That's going to be something we have to figure out immediately if it's more offensive with Technician or if it is going to be more defensively oriented with Friend Guard. Pelipper, you have Drizzle, you can set Tailwind, you also have the ability to go for a Wide Guard to shut down spread type attacks. You have Hurricane for single target damage, Weather Ball. Pelipper's special attack output is actually pretty high. And so even though we often look at Pelipper as one of the supporting stars on a team, There's a reason why this Pokemon is still keeping up with some of the restricted legendary threats we're seeing in the current VGC metagame. Wide Guard is an incredibly useful tool in its kit, and you just have great coverage. If this Pelipper does have something like Weather Ball, and if we lean into a Sun strategy, that's definitely going to be something that has to get shut down if we want to make sure that this Pelipper can't use our own tools against us. And finally, we have to worry about this Thundurus Incarnate. It gets 2 abilities. It has either Prankster or Defiant. Since we don't have a good Intimidator, I expect that this Thundurus is going to be Prankster, and it has a lot of fantastic supportive options. Eerie Impulse has been a common move on this Pokemon. It actually doesn't get access to Tailwind, so at least that's not something that I have to worry about from the Thundurus. It's only Tornadus that does that. But you still have a lot of other status options that do get boosted by the fact that you have Prankster on this Pokemon. As I said, Eerie Impulse, you have Electric Terrain, Nasty Plot. There's also bulk up strategies if you want to. It also gets access to Sunny Day and Rain Dance, so it can set the weather if it wants to. Scary Face is also a move that I think could see some play from this Thundurus. If you wanted a form of speed control, there's one. Scary Face does drop your speed stat by 2 stages, and so it just makes anything else that would come after the Thundurus using that way easier to pick off by some of the slower Pokemon that Mountaih does have on his team. So for this week, I fully expect that Mountaih is going to be leaning into this rain mode. There might be a Rhyperior teched onto the team because we do have Palmot, but otherwise, I think a lot of this team pretty susceptible to those fighting type attacks. We are going to be looking at maybe bringing the Slitherwing for this week as we prepare for seeing some combination of our Chaladon, Thundurus, Overquill, Basculegion, Pelipper, Mousehold, Rhyperior, maybe even Berserker if we wanted to see Steely Spirit in action. It does make preparing for this team just a little bit easier, but it doesn't mean by any stretch of the words that this is going to be an easy task this week. I think Mountaih has a very clear plan that he can go for, and sometimes that's the scariest tactic to have in a game of Pokemon, because you don't necessarily have to stray too far away from the plan when you know, I gotta set the rain and then let the Pokemon do the rest of the work. Before we get into the prep for this week though, I do have a pretty fun announcement to make. Say hello to the newest addition to my Jumbo Plush collection. Beautiful. I just got my giant Larvesta plush and I'm so excited because Volcarona is one of my favorite Pokemon. I got so excited when they released the Slitherwing, and I'm super pumped to have both of them on my team this week because I think it's going to be a good one. We know that Mountaih is going to lean into this rain part of his team. So that means, well, we got to lean into the sun. So not only do we have Volcarona and Slitherwing, but we also welcome 2 new additions to our roster. I can't wait to tell you about the final roster of the Shoutcasting Sylveons before we get through these final 2 weeks of play. Bye Zarude, bye Klefki. Unfortunately, we have traded them in, but that means that we get a chance to say welcome to Sableye and Heatran as they join the Shoutcasting Sylveons to round out the rest of this Shuckle Premier League season. That means that the Shoutcasting Sylveons are going to include those 2 Pokemon, as well as Ogerpon, Cornerstone, Volcarona, Suicune, Hisuian Gudra, Palmot, Lapras, Mismagius, and Slitherwing. And this is definitely a Slitherwing week. Not only do we want to make sure that we have weather control, but the sun is going to be perfect to activate photosynthesis on Slitherwing, while also giving a nice boost to the fire type attacks that Volcarona is going to have. It is able to work 2 things for us, offensively and defensively. We're gonna have Sableye this week to actually be able to shut off the weather. We have Sunny Day on this Pokemon, as well as having Reflect, Light Screen, and Will-O-Wisp. And Sableye is really important because it is naturally slower than Thundurus. So even if Thundurus does go for manual weather control with Rain Dance, then Sableye will move next with Prankster and actually set the Sunny Day, so we always have some form of weather control as long as Sableye is on the field. There are also not too many ways that Mountaih can easily remove the Sableye before we reliably get 2 or 3 turns with it, and so Sableye can not only give us that weather control, but set up some screens. Like Klefki, but a little bit better typing, and I'm excited to have Sableye in this roster. Now for the Volcarona, it's kind of what we've normally seen before. Volcarona is going to have a clear amulet though this week so that it can keep itself safe from any pesky speed or special attack drops That way, once we get a Quiver Dance going, we've got Giga Drains and Flamethrowers for days. And the Giga Drains are really nice because it's super effective damage into these water type attackers that Mountaih is going to have. Plus, who doesn't love a little bit of HP recovery at the end of the turn from using that move? Now we've got Ogerpon Cornerstone. Could go either offensive or defensive. We went back to a very normal build for Ogerpon Cornerstone this week, putting full investment into speed and attack. And we're going to have Horn Leech, Ivy Cudgel, Follow Me, and Spiky Shield. I think the classic standard set that we've seen on Ogerpon. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. At least for VGC. It's been a little broken in Draft League, but this is the week. This is the week, Ogerpon. You got this, girl. Hisui and Gudra is great on this team because it's going to have a nice time versus that Archaludon. I think especially when you have shell armor and you just have the opportunity to shelter, there are not too many things that are actually going to be able to take out the Hisui and Gudra paired with its natural bulk that it has on the special defenses. So shelter, plus we've got body press to really take advantage of that defense, and then we have Dragon Pulse and Life Dew because who doesn't love a bulky team that's going to be sticking around for a while? It also has leftovers, so Hisui and Gudra is hopefully staying around for quite some time. Pawmot, Volt Absorb this week, but it's also going to have the Stellar Terra and Assault Vest. This is a little something that I cooked up. Originally, I looked at Pawmot and I said, how funny would it be if we got Discharge, Electro Web, we actually went all in on the special attack side, gave it Focus Blast. Maybe not something that our opponent would expect. And turns out that's a horrible idea because Pawmot doesn't have very good special attack. If we went for Discharge, putting a ground type Terra on our team, I feel like kind of gives it away. And if we are going for a ground terrestrialization, we make ourselves weak to literally every other water type attacker that Mountaih has on his team. So not a very good strategy, but the Assault Vest sticks. And we are going to have a Pawmot this week that has Double Shock, Close Combat, Electro Web. Just, for some spice. And Fake Out. The Assault Vest theory behind it is we really want to make sure that we can take some of these heavier special attacks from things like Archaludon, as well as maybe even Pelipper. If you're going for something like a Weather Ball, yes, it's a little scary, but, Assault Vest is still pretty good, and having Fake Out is also still pretty good. So Pawmot just being able to pressure some super effective attacks with the Double Shock as well, even if once without Terra, or multiple times if you Stellar Terra, because that is how that works. You just don't lose your electric typing because you're Stellar type now. Either way, I think Pawmot is a great addition to the team this week. But the final Pokemon and the star of the show has to be this Slitherwing. I tried to make it work in a previous week of Shuckle Premier League, and it didn't quite work out the way that I wanted it to, but Slitherwing, there's a reason why we picked it up. And I think this is the week that we wanted Slitherwing for, and we will now have Slitherwing for. Going to have a Dragon Terra typing. I think it's just going to make it a little bit easier for the Slitherwing to keep up with some of these water type attackers, but with Life Orb, with Photosynthesis in the sun, we are going to be able to get a clean one-hit knockout with Close Combat onto the Archaludon, and First Impression into any grass types is so good. Wild Charge in the sun as well. We're getting some really nice KOs onto some of these other water types that Mountaih has. So it's time. I think it's time for Slitherwing to do its thing, and so I'm very excited. Our final team for this week is Sableye, Volcarona, Ogerpon, Cornerstone, Hisui and Gudra, Slitherwing, and Pawmot. And so let's get the party started, see if we can get the dub. So we finally get a chance to see the team revealed, and we've got Maushold, Basculegion, Rhyperior, Pelipper, Virizion, and Archaludon. Mount has also told me that it's going to be all Ghost Terras outside of Pelipper having a Steel Terra, as well as Virizion having Fighting. It doesn't really surprise me too much to see both the Archaludon and the Basculegion here next to the Pelipper, but there is no Thundurus, and so kind of music to my ears, honestly. I was worried about that Pokemon just having really good Prankster abilities, but then you also know that you have I don't know, speed control with Scary Face. So the fact that it's not here, I'm definitely super happy about it. It's still going to be very important for me to actually get weather control. So I think being able to lead Sableye is going to be a really good call. We also do have the ability to just go for Pawmot here. If the Rhyperior does come in, then I know that I can hit it with a Close Combat, and so I won't be super threatened. Obviously, yes, there is going to be a Ghost Terra on basically everything except for the Pelipper and the Parisian. So maybe he's over-indexing a little bit too much into the Palmot, but I'm still going to get some really good mileage out of the Palmot being able to have something like the Electro Webs. In the back, I think we're going to say maybe Slitherwing, and then honestly, I might just go Volcarona just to be able to have some spread coverage. But as we get into game number 1, I think we're just going to try for this and kind of see where we go from there. Okay, we see the Rhyperior as well as the Mountaih. And that's so interesting because I kind of would have expected that the Pelipper would have been in the front, but doesn't seem that way. Honestly, now at this point, I kind of feel like I'm just going to go for the Will-O-Wisp onto the Rhyperior. I guess it could also be a Will-O-Wisp angle onto the Mountaih. But for here, I kind of feel like I should just go for... I don't know, maybe a Fake Out into the Rhyperior. Oh, I'm so nervous. I kind of feel like actually I don't want the Palmot on the field at all. The Rhyperior is such a wall here that it's like... I'm going to force something to Ghost Terra, and that's going to be okay with me. The Rhyperior is going to go for the Ghost Terra. And I kind of expected that, but now I kind of wonder what this population bomber or something is going to do here. And we missed the Will-O-Wisp. That's okay. Mountaih has encored my Sableye into the Will-O-Wisp, and I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. But with the Ghost Terra on the Rhyperior, we're obviously not going to be able to actually go for the close combat into it, and we can't really hit it with the rest of the Palmot anyway. That is not going to stop me from being able to go for the actual Will-O-Wisp into the Rhyperior, even though now it has actually gone for the Rain Dance. And of course, this is not the most ideal situation because we'd like for there to be something to actually knock this out. But won't stop me from just being able to still get some close combat mileage out of the Palmot if I want to. And maybe the Sableye will actually hit this time around. So there we go. Will-O-Wisp into the Rhyperior is going to neuter a lot of the physical attack from this Rhyperior. But we kind of also don't really have a way to hit it, and that's a Lumberry. Good to know that this Rhyperior will get stopped from being burned, but maybe it hits a second time. Ooh, the Earthquake is very rough here. That is a double KO with a Sableye. Okay, this is definitely a lot, and I don't know if I have a way to actually stop this. Okay, this is not looking very good. Yeah, like, this is actually not very good at all. I have no way to actually hit this Rhyperior. Like, I think I have to go for a Terragrassier because I'm not really sure what else I'm supposed to do. And maybe I get a Flamethrower into the Rhyperior and it helps me actually burn the thing. But I'm pretty sure I just get double KO'd here. Huh. Nah, huh. Mountaih going for Follow Me. Of course, it's going to redirect away any of the attacks towards the Rhyperior. And while we do actually get some good damage onto the Mountaih, and we finally get a KO on something with the close combat from Slitherwing, I'm pretty sure that we just actually have Pelipper that comes in, and then I'm not really sure what I can do here. Doesn't matter anyway, because it's going to be Rock Slide with a one-hit knockout onto the Slitherwing, and the Volcarona is not too far behind. We, I think, have to call this game one a wash and start to think about game number 2. I think a big problem with this team is we actually didn't put something onto the Sableye. We thought about going for foul play, and obviously in the situation, it would have been really, really good. But unfortunately, we cannot. I'm not even sure how much damage we would actually do, even if I go for Terra Grass Giga Drain. Like, wow, I get half damage, and then I think I get KO'd to a Hurricane anyway. But maybe I get to live to see a move from this Pelipper. I get confirmed that we're going to see the Hurricane here, and that is a sweep. Wow. Okay, game 2. Looking at game number 2, Rhyperior has to be enemy number 1 without opening myself up to shenanigans. Otherwise, I think Pawmot cannot be brought. Rhyperior with Lightning Rod just neuters a lot of Pawmot's capabilities, and then you look at something like Close Combat also not being able to hit into the Rhyperior. I think like bringing Pawmot is a wash. I think, though, with Terra Grass on the Volcarona, it's actually not a super bad idea for me to be able to go for Sableye Volcarona as a lead. We still have access to go for Sunny Day, just in case there is a Pelipper lead or a Pelipper switch-in. We do have that available, and then, of course, the Mouse Hold is just... it's just going to be annoying. But I think with being able to have something like maybe even the Ogerpon or the Slitherwing in the back, I think we should be able to find a way through this, but Pawmot's not going to work. I don't even feel like Goodra is also going to help here. But I think if we can get a Quiver Dance up on the Volcarona, there's at least a good way that we would be able to outspeed the Mouse Hold. So I think the plan is Reflect. Let's set up a Quiver Dance on the Volcarona. We actually outspeed the Mouse Hold, so we should be able to get a Flamethrower up and running before the Mouse Hold actually encores us. Obviously, if we see a different lead for this turn 1, then we can go to a different strategy, and we can adjust our game plan on the fly. But I think just knowing that the Rhyperior was as big of a problem as it was, I think we have to make sure that we're accounting for the fact that Rhyperior could be here. And with Terra Grass, even if we see a Basculegion or something like that, I think actually Sableye with the Volcarona is still okay into other leads. But we'll see. It is going to be Virizion and Archaludon for the first little preview of game number 2. And I still kind of like, I kind of don't hate that. I feel like still being able to have the Volcarona here is good. Of course, Volcarona is going to have Flame Body, so if we do actually see like a Body Press from the Archaludon or even just any of the physical attacks in the Virizion, then, you know, we're gonna see our good Volcarona hopefully stick around. Now, this does concern me just a little bit. I mean, I haven't seen Virizion in a whole lot of play, so it's a Pokemon that I feel like I don't have like a whole lot of experience with. But I do know Virizion is pretty well trained in its special defense, and it can either be like a special attack, and we can also see it be physical. But I think in either case, looking at the Archaludon as well as the Virizion, I should be pretty safe here to actually just go for like a light screen in front of both of these Pokemon, just to make sure I'm covering my bases on the Archaludon side. And I'll still go for a Quiver Dance because Volcarona should be faster than both of these two Pokemon. Virizion's actually pretty fast, but I still feel like with some type of speed control, we should be able to do some good numbers here. We also know that Virizion now has Taunt, so after using the light screen, Sableye isn't going to be able to go for anything else, but we do have the Quiver Dance boost now onto the Volcarona, and we'll just have to be able to see what we do from here. And the Dragon Pulse is pretty good, so being able to see like being able to actually see the Archaludon here go for something like that, I still think it could probably be like Assault Vest, and we have to worry a little bit. Sableye can't do anything because it's a support Pokemon, so I think we actually do have to just like bring something else in. I don't feel super bad about being able to bring in Slitherwing here and just maybe hope to at least shake off the taunt. But I almost half feel like I should probably just try to go for damage into this Virizion. Obviously, we don't want to get taunted, but I also feel like... No, I kind of want to just go for the Quiver Dance because Virizion could taunt us, but I think we're faster now. If we can get a second Quiver Dance, then we can really start to push the pace a little bit more. I can save the Sableye. I also kind of expected there to be a switch in from Mountaih side, and it is going to be the Pelipper. Now a good opportunity for this Archaludon to actually go for things like Electroshot, and I really hope that we didn't just open ourselves up to getting hit by some type of water type attack in the rain by this Archaludon, but usually it doesn't have one, so I feel like it should be okay. And with everything else, we do have a second special defense boost now because of the Quiver Dance. But what is this Archaludon doing? Because I'm definitely nervous. It is going to be the Electroshot. So, nice little special attack boost over to the Archaludon. And as we do see the Electroshot hit into the Volcarona, it's actually not doing too much here. Now, the Pelipper is obviously a problem. I really don't like that we see it here. I do feel like it might be best to just go for a Protect and see if we can actually, like, maybe... Yeah. Really need to get rid of this Pelipper. I feel like Volcarona is, like, the threat right now. But I also know that I need the Slitherwing for later. Oh, I don't know. Oh, it's so hard. I kind of have to make a decision here. Both of these Pokemon have a well, I know that Pelipper has a Steel Terra, and I also know that the Archaludon has a Ghost Terra, and it definitely makes me nervous to actually just go for the close combat. But I almost feel like maybe I should have. Protecting the Volcarona almost feels like it's a little too much now, trying to focus onto the Volcarona, and I'm immediately regretting my decision. I mean... That's going to be a Focus Sash reveal onto the Pelipper. If the Pelipper actually goes for Hurricane into the Slitherwing, I'm definitely not going to be too happy about this. If we went for the close combat into the Archaludon, at the very least, we are going to actually force it to Terrastalize. So it just kind of depends on what we actually saw both of these Pokemon go for. If they hit into the Protect, that's even better, right? Because I think the Volcarona is actually quite threatening. But they're just going to set the Tailwind here. And I still believe that my Volcarona is faster, but it's definitely hard to call. I think it would probably be best for me to try to just go for the close combat into the Archaludon. Worst case scenario, right? I think that I get a chance to actually knock out this Pelipper. What, at +2? I think so. Yeah. Okay, so that's very good. Now, this Archaludon is going to be pretty fast with the Tailwind behind it. Archaludon's not one of the fastest Pokemon in the world, but it does go for the Dragon Pulse here. And it leaves me available to actually go for the close combat. And the Archaludon has... What is that? It had a berry. That is wild. The Chople Berry actually weakening the fighting type of... Okay, I mean, sure enough. Sure, why not? That's wild, though. That's actually so wild. Alright, the Basculegion, very scary. We definitely don't like that. But now that the rain is over, I mean, there's what, two more turns of rain? The Basculegion is the fastest thing on the field right now, and I definitely need to worry about my Volcarona. I don't even think a Grass Terra actually, like, saves me here, though, is, like, my biggest issue. And I really worry about actually bringing in my Sableye, because I feel like, you know, what's the point? Oh, this might work, though. I mean, I just Protect here, right? Yeah, I hit the wild charge into the Basket Legion because, what, best case scenario, I get to actually knock out this Basket Legion and then my, you know, my, what's it called, gets knocked out. Come on, Slitherwing, please get knocked out here. That would actually be amazing. I don't know if it does. Last Respects actually went into the Volcarona. This is a +3 Archaludon. Alright, nice. So Slitherwing actually does get knocked out, which is great. Last Respects obviously does not really make me feel super great here. Because that's actually quite tough. What are the odds that this Basket Legion is not Swift Swim and it has adaptability? They have one more turn of Tailwind. I have one turn of Light Screen. I think I have to just go for like, ooh, this is tough. Oh my goodness. I think I need to go for Sunny Day here, and then I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I just have to like kind of hope for the best. Oh, this is rough. I think I just have to protect. I think I just, because I need to kind of do like two things at once. And I don't get the protect, so unfortunately that does mean I think we're gonna get knocked out here. I should have just gone for damage. Yeah. I could like burn it, but then I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. At least this Archaludon is stuck. I still think there's a way through this. I just have to get it right. No more Tailwind. I have Ogerpon. Ogerpon has 30. If I Will-O-Wisp this Basket Legion, and maybe I just simply like, oh, I can't do that either because I'm just gonna get rid of. Oh, this is actually so hard. I think I just lose. Yeah, because like I can... This Basket Legion is going to go for a Ghost Terra. It does make it really hit hard with less respects now, but we do finally land the Will-O-Wisp. At least the physical attack is going to be mitigated somewhat, but we still have to worry about the fact that this Archaludon can probably just go for a body press here. Ivy Cudgel is going to actually get just a crit and a one-hit knockout, and so we don't see this Basket Legion move at all. This tells me that this Basket Legion might have been... Actually, that doesn't tell me anything. Oh, Sableye is also dead. Okay, well... Archaludon felt like it took a lot of damage. I kind of wonder if there's a world where I can just hit the Archaludon and get a crit, and then maybe we don't have to worry about the Virizion. But the Virizion also has, like, a fighting type attack. I just don't really think that there's gonna be a way through this. Ivy Cudgel is my best chance, but this Virizion is so fast. So it moves before we do. Ogerpon is not even going to get the knockout onto the Archaludon anyway. And yeah, I honestly got cooked by Rhyperior in the first game. Mountaih didn't even bring it to the second game, and I got cooked anyway by just like Basket Legion stuff. But GG's. Unfortunately, we do lose this. But yeah, fun games regardless. Yeah, that's a hard loss to take. This is the second week in a row that I've been defeated 0-2 like that, and it's just so convincing. Hard not to feel a little bit bad about those losses. I think game 1 does look a little bit different if I do hit the Will-O-Wisp right away. I get the reveal of the Lumberry on the Rhyperior way sooner, and then it doesn't really feel that bad if I whiff the close combat, because if I get encored into the Will-O-Wisp, then I still get a chance to connect the Will-O-Wisp on the second turn, and all of a sudden that Swords Dance does way less. Like, Earthquake doesn't get a double KO there. Maybe I could have targeted the close combat into the mouse hold instead, and it was still a risk to take, knowing there were so many Ghost Terra types on the opposing side. But I figured, you know, at least like I could get some mileage out of the Pomot, and then Sableye still gets to do something else in the game. Like, if you hit the Will-O-Wisp on the second turn, we don't get knocked out. We can go for Sunny Day once the Pelipper comes in, or we can go for Reflect to make sure that the Rhyperior is doing even less after it's burned. And so game 1 definitely felt a little unlucky, and I think we could have squeaked out a win if that Will-O-Wisp had hit on the first time. But the second game, I feel like I got absolutely stomped. I loved the strategy of just being able to go set up the Quiver Dances, and then I felt like I just let the Pelipper go out of hand. It set up the Tailwind. I probably should have just doubled into it, knowing that it had some type of Focus Sash, but I got greedy, wanting to go for a second Quiver Dance, and I technically needed the speed to still outspeed the Archaludon, but the follow-up just wasn't fast enough. And I think you guys saw at the end of that game too, I got into this awkward position where I needed Sableye on the field one turn before to like get the Sunny Day, also get a Reflect, and get the burn onto the Basculegion, and just kind of everything started to fall apart. And without any form of speed control, Mountaih saving the Virizion for the very end was such a good call, because there was no way I was outspeeding it. Ogerpon just didn't have quite the right offenses I needed into the Virizion. And I feel like this is the second week in a row I've gotten got by some type of grass type attacker. Like, it was Shaman last week with James. It's Virizion this week versus Mountaih. Yeah, and like, I'm definitely disappointed. I feel like the last couple of weeks I've not played my best. Draft leagues are very hard, but I feel like saying that also only makes up for so much. Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm disappointed in myself, because I feel like I've put in a lot of prep work for these weeks and still getting caught by strategies that I'm like, why did I not see this sooner? Or why could I have not played a little bit better around that? I miss VGC, guys. Maybe I'll just have to switch back and only play competitive VGC games. But regardless, congrats to Mountaih and GG's for the week. Mountaih's been doing amazing this season, so it doesn't really feel all that bad to lose to somebody that's been so good at draft for this year. But that does leave us with only one more week of the Shuckle Premier League regular season. Next week, we are playing against a tough opponent again. I feel like I said this every single week, but it's because the entire Shuckle Premier League is just stacked with talent. So next week, we close out our season playing against Moxie Boosted, and we'll have to see who can get the dub in that one. But thank you all so much for tuning in and for continuing your support of the channel. It means so much to me that you all have followed me this far on my Draft League journey, and if you've made it this far, I appreciate you even more for sticking it out and watching these videos, and also helping me to get to 10,000 subs. We're so close, and I'm really grateful again for the opportunity to actually be here and playing these games. But we will try harder for our next week and hopefully close out strong. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time.